welcome to London.
Well, thank you.
And British Grove Studios. I'm loving working here. I'm really happy with the way things are sounding, I have to say.
Yeah, well, what I've heard so far is
it's pretty powerful.
I'm happy too.
It's pretty powerful. The process that we went through, which started off with, as you guys do, you're all writing and you're all coming up with ideas. Then you get together and you start to expand on those and share, and they become sort of a group jam. And then they go from a group jam to a form. And then everybody came to Nashville, and we checked in to sound check. We were in sound check for 3 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. 3 whole weeks.
Yep.
Of taking those pieces, and they just morphed into these lovely these songs, these lovely works of music, and we recorded them right away. So there's no break. So I think that was good. That we knew them, we'd learned them, we went right in the studio, and in the studio the approach was, give me 3 or 4 takes of a thing from top to bottom. Just go for it. Just play your hearts out, right? And then we would pick the best pieces or the best takes and put them together, and there we are.
I'm a great believer in that. I remember John Lord particularly said, I don't want to do any more than 2 solos, because after that you start thinking, and
For sure.
The idea is not to think.
For sure.
So I always talk about the Zen archer. The Zen archer draws his bow back and lets it go right away. First, the more you try and correct yourself, the more you're going to miss the target. So I think that all when we play all together as well, which is kind of rare sometimes. A lot of bands put piecemeal, bits and pieces, the drums, then the bass goes on, and so on. With you, we've gone back to the basics, and we've gone back to being a band in a studio, all playing together.
Yeah.
And I think that helps.
Well, that's because that's what I saw when Neil Warnock, who is the person that told me that I had to produce the next Deep Purple album, and I said, I don't know, I mean, I'm already doing Alice Cooper and all this stuff. I don't want to get typecast. But then I went and saw the band play live, and that segment in the middle of the show where you just take off and the band plays, and it's clearly a dialogue. Well, it's a quadrilogue, if there is such a thing, but everybody's talking musically. It was amazing. And the musicianship was, for me anyway, unique. I don't see any other bands out there that have lasted this long and that play this well. So having you all together is a no-brainer. Separating you, I think, would have been a terrible mistake. And having the way we set up in the tracking room, as you remember, you were in a semicircle and everybody could see each other and everybody knew what everybody else was doing. And that to me was such an important part of the energy.
Yeah, I think so too. Don't solo the bass bit in the verse.
Okay.
Because it's the most difficult riff I've ever had to play.
Well, it's pretty cool, I have to say. I mean, seriously, Raj, this. That's pretty cool.
I asked you not to do that. Steve came up with that.
Yeah.
And maybe it's easy to play on guitar, but on the bass, it's really difficult.
I know.
And I practiced and practiced and practiced. It ended up in a medical facility looking after my thumb.
That's
or my
true.
finger, I can't remember which.
Is that what did it?
Yeah. I'm
Really?
sure it was that riff.
Wow. Well, then it's aptly named. Drop that weapon. Oh, wow, I didn't realize that was what did it. But there's lots, there's a lot of layering in this that's unusual for us.
Dave Gillen's lyrics on this one, I think they're great.
Genius.
Absolutely lovely lyrics.
Yeah.
Says it without being silly or trifling about it or making fun of it.
Or overly pedantic. It's serious stuff.
It's a serious problem.
Yeah.
And he does it in such a way that I don't know, it just sits right for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think, one of the things that, if you remember, one of the things that we agreed on when we were putting all this together was we're just going to let our angry old man flag fly. We're just going to say, hey, kid, put that down, Don't be ridiculous. So drop the weapon, but he's right. You know, these kids who, you know, they've got a knife in their hand or they've got a gun in their hand and they suddenly think they're big.
Yeah. Drop the blade.
Yeah, drop the blade.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Phil's. I thought Pacey sounded really good there. I love those fills. Here, one more time, just to indulge myself for a second. I love that.
Yeah, great. Yeah, good.
Okay, that's Drop the Weapon. So the title of this thing is Whoosh, or Whoosh, or however you guys want to pronounce it.
Whoosh.
Whoosh. It is Whoosh. And that, I remember when, you know, Gillen was coming up with ideas for titles, and he sent me an email, actually, and one of the words was whoosh. The shape of the word alone, I looked at it and I just went, that's what this album, that looks like what the album sounds like. So for me, the album is a big whoosh of energy and excitement.
I saw the same thing from Ian as well, whoosh, and I thought that's very flippant. And I know where it comes from. It comes from Fawlty Towers, when John Cleese at some point doing his rant in the kitchen goes whoosh, and he goes, what's that? Said, that's your life, mate.
Really?
Yes.
That came from Fawlty Towers?
Yes, yes.
That's fantastic.
And then the idea of having a title like that is kind of very brave.
That's really cool.
What you done or where you been?
This was the live take.
Yeah.
This is your live bass, you
Yeah.
know? And I mean, we tried to improve on it, but as you say, you know, when you do stuff without thinking, it just hits the
I
mark.
remember Pacey saying to me in the studio, he said, keep it simple. It's just a simple bam, bam, bam. Don't try and...
Yeah,
And I
just
went, okay.
eighth notes, doom, 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 doom. But that bass part impels the song. If I take it away, it's like the bottom falls. Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Literally.
obviously, but it does.
We're all the same in the dark. Baby, won't you be my friend? And right to the end.
But with the bass,
Never know what happened down
Yeah,
in
you're right.
Mexico. Like what I see, I like the view.
I like those backing vocals too.
We can stay as long as it lasts.
Lyrically, this was Ian's lyric again. Ian had more lyrics on this album, I think, than the last one.
Yes.
In fact, he's the predominant writer on this album.
Yes.
Whereas the last one was more me and
Yes.
or a mix. And I mean, I love his sentiments. We're all the same in the dark. It's a very kind of human thing to
Yes.
say. That, you know, all the differences aside, we're all the same. A bit like Weirdistan, you know, the clash of cultures. Embrace them.
Yeah.
Embrace different cultures. It's the same kind of message.
Yeah, but I think also there's a certain, there's a certain component of, you know, when you look at me, I may not be the young Adonis, beautiful, you know, the beautiful thing that you dreamed of in the past. I think there's a little bit of that underpinning a lot of what we're doing here, and it's okay because it's who we are. Let me just show you the guitar solo. That's so good. That Bernardino.
Baby, won't you be my friend?
In its like simplicity, you know, and just with so few notes, that's one of my favorite solos on the whole record.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he does leave air, and you hear everything he does to every note. And I love some of the little kicking, you know, just the
Yeah.
little pickups, muted pickups, and those bends. Like, who does that? mean, speaking of guitar playing, this kills me. Who does that? I mean, I just have to say to everybody, like, that's not humanly possible. that's not a sample. This is a guy with fingers that plays something here that just, it's all harmonics. Different. But this part.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's like capturing lightning.
It's exactly what it's like. It's exactly what it's like. And that was just a pure jam. Inexplicable is the only word I can use for Steve Morse. I've never met anybody like him. He has so much going on in there.
Yeah.
All the time. And you can see it. It's almost painful for him, right? Because there's just so much thought and feeling and everything jumbling up. And then he has to get it out here, out of his fingers. And that's why, you know, some of the times he can't help himself. It's just like that. And there's not one duff note. Not one.
Yeah, I know. It's frightening.
That's frightening.
But I like it when he with Don playing a nice chord sequence or something like that.
Yeah.
The way Steve finds a melody where none exists instantly.
Yeah, I know.
That blows me away.
All of that's in reaction to what Don was playing.
Yeah.
These are my little effects.
Don's amazing as well in his own way.
So if you remember, I mean, Don just started noodling and that sound came out, and then Steve started to play, and the next thing you know, as always, and you said this earlier, as always happens, they just sort of take off.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like a little conversation. They're not even looking at each other for this. They're listening so intently. They're like both of them have their eyes closed, and this is what they say to each other. Like, how did they both know to switch right there?
Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, Don instinctively feels what Steve is doing,
Yeah, he does.
and sometimes will guide him to a different
Yeah.
part, and Steve picks up on it immediately. So it's staggering.
I know. So the only challenge with this piece is that I haven't yet figured out where it goes. But I know it goes somewhere because it's way too good to waste, isn't it?
Yeah.
Boy has gone to rest.
Hear all the swirly synth.
I like the tick-tock effect as well.
Yeah, that works better now.
The tune, it's not even a tune, it's just a couple of notes.
All right.
But after we'd finished recording it, I was in the bar with Don at the end of the day, and I said, you know, I can't get that out of my head. It's so fragile,
Yeah, I know.
and yet it's memorable.
I know.
You know,
And for me, it's this line. Ba-ba-da-bum. Oh, I love it. It's so big now.
yeah.
So that's got the real orchestra now, and it's also got some big brass samples and things too. I just think it sounds amazing.
All creatures great and small.
Okay, so all creatures great and small, raised on blood red soil. and grass that grows on city streets. It's been a quiet town since the juice went down. Now something's washed up on the beach, a man alive. So, I mean, I get goosebumps when I say it. And the idea of this, when Gillen wrote that, it just snapped my head back because it's so smart and it's so much what all of us have been talking about lately. And what the whole world should be talking about lately. It's what we're doing and what we've done and where it's leading, which we know is not to a good place, or at least we feel. And unless we make some massive, massive adjustments, there will be a time when nothing but creatures roam empty streets, and we'll be gone.
Yeah.
So that's what this is about.
I know, yeah. When I saw the lyrics, I thought, wow, I wasn't sure about them at first, but it's such a huge topic.
Yeah.
And it's treated, I think, with not the usual sort of polemic, we must do this and do that. It's just an observation. And I think we've always been a band like that. We've never been particularly political, but we observe and let people make their own minds up. We don't tell people what to do. We don't preach as a band. And I'm kind of proud of that. We don't take our position. Bottom line is we're entertainers.
Yeah, but
private things are private.
Yeah, you guys, you're entertainers, but you're artists. You're not just people who bounce around on. You're not trained monkeys.
No, I understand that. But,
So you have points of view and you have things to say, and that I love that about the band. That's the only thing. I mean, really, that's the only kind of stuff I want to work on. I want to work on stuff that has a point of view with people who have something to say, and who are really expert at what they do, and that you tick all three boxes. So what we have, but what I love in here is the string section and how they sound. They played this really well. It gets bigger and bigger. Right? So how that fits in, but we have everybody going. It's like this. So we have the clock in the background. Done.
Yeah, great.
It's good.
Great.
Right? Yeah.
Well done, man. What's in your head is becoming a reality.
It took a while, but we got there. And then
I remember that.
Washed up on the beach, just a man. Whoosh.
Whoosh.
right.
Yeah, that's deep.
It's
That's
good, right?
very deep.
It's very deep and very purple.
The song's deep, so
I know.
it works.
I'm very happy with it. Well, I don't know if you remember, but when we met the day after Massey Hall, after I saw the Massey Hall show, we had breakfast the next morning, and we were talking about like what the intention of the band is, and we decided that morning that we're not going to try to be anything other than who and what we are, right? That's it. No trying to fit into radio. No, we don't give a shit if it's 7 minutes or if it's 7 seconds. We're going to make the best music that we can. And hopefully the fans will appreciate it, and they have.
Yeah, well, your enthusiasm really rubbed off. And I remember you saying, stretch out. And afterwards, after you'd gone, we were, what do you mean by stretch out? Stretch out musically, stretch out longer songs, stretch out every which way, which is what we did.
Yeah.
I remember you said to all of us, what do you expect from this album, from this if we do it?
Right.
I remember saying I just want to put the deep back in purple.
That's exactly right.
And, it's all very well doing fast and catchy songs and showing off and stuff like that, but there's got to be a bit more to the songs. There's got to be depth and meaning and not following anything, being leaders. I feel like it's very important.
Yeah, but that's exactly right. I remember that. You said, I want to put the deep back in Purple. That's really cool. Let's look at some vocal stuff. You know, we haven't soloed any of the vocals, and I'm not sure that Ian would be happy with us if we did.
Yeah.
He's so like self-conscious
I
about it.
promised myself I would not get trashed again. But the way I'm feeling right now, that promise is going down the drain. Yeah.
I mean, that's just great singing
And great words.
and great words.
Yeah.
But listen to that. Just listen to the personality and the humanity he puts into it.
Hey, you can reel me in slowly and surely, but there's a catch to this deal.
And it's so conversational. He's talking to you.
It's not over yet, I get one more spin of the wheel. I promised myself I would not get trashed again. But the way I'm feeling right now, that promise is going down the drain. Yeah. I should have known.
That's so cool. And with the laugh. But I mean, he really, as a performer in the studio, he does become an actor. And he does really, he inhabits the character. And he's not pretending. He's not, there's no artifice to it. It's really just he becomes that guy and just talks to you in that voice.
And he does that live too on stage.
Yeah, that's true.
He's never been one to go, "Are you ready to rock?" All this kind of. He always talks to an audience, and even if they don't understand him, he prefers that than shouting at them. Why shout at an audience? You know, that's what the music's for.
Right.
And I like the fact that he's unlike a lot of singers. He doesn't sort of preen himself and look good. He's actually quite happy to make a fool of himself on stage. I remember doing
He doesn't do that very often.
an open air concert where it was raining, and he came on with a bucket of water and just emptied it over his head just to be at one with the audience.
Really?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's total Gillan. Yeah. You know, you're right. And he's self-conscious only in the sense that he knows his instrument and he knows his body and he knows when he's got it and when he's not quite getting it. But he's not at all self-conscious about the characters he plays or the stories that he tells and that sort of stuff. And I love that. It's not artifice. It's not. It's real expression of a real point of view in a very artful way.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that breath.
Yeah, that's great.
It's amazing. It's amazing how much effort goes into just making a sound like that, right? Fill yourself up with this, and it's a very intentional thing. He's not just like, just breathing like normal breath. It's all about the breath.
Oh yeah, it's hard work.
It's very hard work.
How he comes off stage and at the end of a tour as well. I mean, his body's gone through enormous amounts of exercise on stage. No wonder he's tired.
Yeah, no kidding. For Ian Gillan, it is about taking the right kind of breath, the right amount of it, and then how much of it to use over how long a period of time to get the sound he's looking for.
Yeah.
People don't think about that. They just think people open their mouths and sing. And he's very conscious about it. It's not something that he doesn't just sort of open his mouth and hope something nice comes out. He's really conscious of how much he's putting into it.
Well, he's also reinvented himself as he's got older. Because, I mean, the early days, he was 23, 24, doing that, and fronting a band that was ferocious and loud. And so he always felt like, he had to top it somehow, had to rule the song. So he pushed himself, and there's only so long you can do that. And as you get older, when he got to his 60s and so, I said to him, "You've got a great voice, but you're always trying to push it. It's not very comfortable when you're straining."
Yeah.
In context, it could be okay, but too much of it is just uncomfortable to hear. And lower register that's the answer, and he's found that.
Yeah, well, we sort of reached this as a compromise. We started off where he's singing high, but we added the low register as a sort of octave below, and now that's becoming the focal point, and the high part's just the dressing. What he goes through, it's really interesting to watch, and the amount of time that he takes every day to make sure that he's in shape to perform. From the meditating and the kind of foods he eats and everything. It's like goes into making sure that he has not just good health, but that he has the energy, the core, and the breath to be able to do this stuff. Yes, sir.
You can reel me
So we did.
slowly and surely, but there's a catch to this deal.
I love the bass in here,
It's not over yet. I get
Galloping.
one more spin of the wheel.
but I love how it goes, how it drops the octaves.
I promised myself I would not get trashed again.
That's great.
But the way I'm feeling
Lucky, really.
right now, that promise is going down the drain. Yeah.
There are no edits in there, and there's no massaging or fixing of this. This is exactly what our friendly neighborhood bass player played. Do-de-dum. And that little skip there, that's awesome. Do-de-do-do-do-do-dum.
Playing fast and loose.
That's great. It's really great. I mean, it may not sound like much, but that's hard to do. And in time like that,
We're on different paths. I mean, you keep going on your path, and we keep going on ours. And we actually come together occasionally, which is very nice. But I can't
great.
speak for you. What keeps you going?
oh, I have no choice. I mean, there's just so much going on up here that if I didn't do stuff like this, I would explode, I think. But what keeps me going with you guys is like every few years or whenever it is that we get together, I get a real rock band in a studio playing powerful music live. To me, that's the greatest rush in the world.
I agree with you. I mean, I love studios. I love being in the band, and so saying. And now it's what 51 years for Deep Purple.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of people say, when are you going to retire? Well, my answer to that is that I retired when I was 19. This is my retirement.
That's great.
Yeah.
I like
Well,
that.
It's also true.
Yeah.
I never had a job. I had a summer job, and that was it. I then became, a musician. And I think what happened to us in the 70s was so phenomenal. It was like a fairy tale magic carpet ride from obscurity to the top of the world. But there's a kind of an odd shared destiny about us that I think we all feel.
The band.
Yeah.
All of you, yeah.
I was worried when we had the reunion in '84 that what happened in the 70s was kind of special and could never be replicated and repeated, and maybe we should just leave that, and that's our legacy, But when we started playing together, the first thing we did was have a jam, just to see if we could make music together again, and all those doubts went away as soon as I heard us playing.
Yeah,
And,
I love the story of how you guys joined the band. I thought that was really amazing.
Ian and I,
Yeah,
yeah, it's such a tenuous connection. It blows me away. Richie was in a band with a guy called Mick Underwood, a drummer, back early in the 60s. And Deep Purple didn't mean anything in England at the time. Ian Gillan and I were songwriting in a band called Episode 6, and Mick Underwood joined our band. And he was a step up for us. He was a professional drummer, musician. And he was good. But Richie called him up one day out of the blue and said, we're looking for a singer. Do you know anyone? And Mick very nicely said, well, why don't you come and check Episode 6 out? Our singer Ian Gillan. And that's how the connection happened.
that's amazing.
And they offered Ian the job, he took it. And we in Episode 6 had emergency meetings. We've lost our singer, what are we going to do now? And next thing I know, Ian calls me up and said, we've been songwriting together now for a couple of years, and this band I'm joining, they're looking for songs. So do you want to come up and play some songs for John, the keyboard player? I said, yeah, okay. Summer's day, acoustic guitar, shoved up to Fulham in London, and met John. What a lovely man he was. Opened the door with a welcome, knowledgeable, urbane, talkative, intelligent. It was lovely. We played him our songs, which thankfully he passed on because they were crap. And then played us this song called Hallelujah, an acetate he had, written by Greenaway and Cook.
All right.
And he said, what do you think of that? Yeah, he said, is it a hit? Yeah, it could be, yeah. He said, well, we're recording it tonight. Would you like to play bass on it? Well, I said, well, I don't have my bass or anything with me. He said, no, don't worry about that. So I went up to London. That's when I met Richie and Pacey for the first time. Played the song. They were paying me a session fee. And at the end of the session, John came up to me and said, well, we've had a chat, and would you like to join our band?
Wow.
And I said, oh, thanks, but no,
Wow.
I couldn't do it. You know, what, you know. I said, what's loyalty with the band in episode 6? We've been together since school. We've been through thick and thin. I feel bad, you know. He said, well, think about it. So I did.
For how long?
Overnight. Called him the next morning, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
John, this is Roger. And he went, who? I said, bass player. Oh, call me at 3 o'clock. I'm still asleep. Thought I'd blown it. But that was my sort of audition. So, and who knew from that little tenuous connection, that little silver thread of a phone call, that I would end up in a band that I'm still in 51 years later. It's just beyond my capabilities to actually swallow that. You know, it's just amazing.
What's great about Step by Step? I mean, aside from the fact that the lyrics are so smart, and I mean, we didn't really know that this was going to turn into this kind of a song.
It came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely nowhere. And I think that, well, actually, the starting point was Don's chord sequence.
Right.
That he played, and I've a soft spot in my heart for things that do things that I could never have thought of.
Right.
And I would never have thought of that chord sequence. It's Procol Harum-esque. It's got that kind of glorious English feel about it.
Yeah, it is incredibly English. But I love how big it is, too. Boom, boom. I love it. Okay, so like, just by itself, as a part, it's like, I don't know where that comes from either, but I loved it. And just like you know, the minute he started to play that, especially with that big heavy sample, the big pipe organ and everything, it told me in 8 seconds where the song was going to go, where we needed it to go.
And after that, I mean, I can't remember how it came. It just appeared out of nowhere. That dun, 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 dun. And Ian Gillan almost immediately said, Step by Step.
I know, he did.
Oh, it's right from the get-go.
You're exactly right, he did. He picked it out so quickly. The fact that it's in 6/8, which is sometimes not that powerful a time signature, is also particularly interesting because it is so heavy.
Yeah.
Speaking of which.
Taking me over and stealing my soul. Oh, oh, stealing my soul.
Nuts.
Step by step.
That reverb works great. And then again, talking about crazy changes.
It's amazing. A track that the least possibility of being on the album is now probably one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I just love it.
I think it's a lot of people, I think at the label, they said this was their favorite song and stuff. Yeah. Again, I want to turn it up so you could hear it and sit in the center. So we played some games with the drums. We made a little swirl.
They swirl all right.
Isn't that great? One of the things that I loved about being in the studio with you guys was that there would always be these moments of surprise, like the thing on Now What, like the jam between Steve and Dawn, when they just took off, and then Pacey rolled in,
Uncommon
and then
Man, yeah.
Uncommon Man, and then there's this big, long, warm bass note and stuff. And it just happened. We didn't plan on it, did we?
No.
I mean, just at the end of a particular recording, they just took off and away you all went. Those live moments, to me, they're magical and special. And luckily, we have a few on this album.
I love the snare sound on this.
Okay. Well, if you love the snare sound, then I love the snare sound. I do love it. I just wanted to make sure that it had that air that you're always looking for.
Yeah, important.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing about this song, obviously, aside from the fact that I just love it to death. I love the message. I love everything about it. But the solo, that organ solo, that's just off the charts.
And what happens before that, the thing that Steve does before that, it's just, it lifts it beautifully.
Yeah. So we'll just play a little bit of the verse.
I'm talking to myself again. I'm waving to a passing friend. I've known her since I don't know when. It's nothing at all. Just a few of us walk arm in arm. It's innocent and charming. The children seem to be getting along. Don't worry, kids, it's nothing at all.
And the interesting thing is he's telling the story. I mean, he's basically telling the story of everyone's state of denial. Oh, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. The Venice just flooded last week. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. We're walking arm in arm. It's all cool. Then you get to the chorus and you understand what he's getting at.
Back to the wall. It's nothing at all. Nothing at all. And the old lady smiled.
And the old lady smiled.
The old lady is Mother Nature.
Exactly.
Tell me that.
Then she blew
It's a good clue.
the leaves off my tree.
And then she blew all the leaves off my tree. It's, it's very Ian-esque.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's his mode of expression, and I love it. It's true to who he is.
I love that line about the doom and gloom, for example. It's around the corner and coming soon.
That's right.
I mean, it's a lovely conversational lyric. That's what I like about it.
And actually, we had those few moments where you thought he was being a little too conversational and, wise guys using that term and stuff like that.
Well, when you're writing with someone, you're bound to have disagreements.
No, I don't agree.
I don't agree with you. But you have to respect the honesty of each other. And when someone says, "I don't like that," they're not saying it for any other reason than they really don't like it. It's not a personal attack.
Yeah, exactly. It's not.
And that's what writing together with people. You have to have that trust that you're not out to hurt each other.
What's cool to observe is how these disparate personalities, and they are as disparate as any band I've ever worked with, but how you all have a deep respect for each other.
Oh, absolutely. We wouldn't have been together this long if we didn't have that. I don't know, I can speak for Ian, but I'm a fan. First and foremost, I'm a fan of the band. I'm a fan of what we've done and the way we play and the musicians involved and the musical abilities.
Yeah.
How could I not be? I get the best seat in the house.
That's great. Yeah. Well, I think everybody in the band says that. But it's really true, right? I mean, the whole band, everyone looks at everyone else as being a way better musician than they are. So this is another one where Ian's commenting. I mean, he's so sick of being hectored at, and just being shouted at by politicians and salespeople and people with funky opinions and stuff. So he felt the need to express that, and it comes out with this really cool chorus line right here.
No need to shout, all right. I'm hearing what you say. No need to shout, no, just shut your mouth and go away.
Just shut your mouth and go away.
Yeah. He wanted to say "shut your mouth and fuck off," but we
I have no objection to that.
exercised a
The reason we couldn't do it because it didn't rhyme with anything, not because I care about the word.
that's one of those songs where it happened instantly.
Yeah.
We were in the rehearsal, the writing room, and Don just suddenly and inexplicably just played a great big chord, really loud. Bah! And I didn't know where he was going or anything like that, but the riff, suddenly I felt, I just started playing the first riff that came into my head, just based on his chord. And blow me down, but it hasn't changed much since then. It's just out of nowhere.
Absolutely. The first minute I heard that riff, I was like, okay, this is a song. Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's simple,
Yeah.
but it's really powerful. I like the impulsion of it. It's just, it's growling and rolling forward like a train. I mean, this is really powerful.
Yeah, I know you.
I know. I want to
wanna
crank
do
it. I'm going to crank it. We won't talk. We're going to crank the level. I love that.
Got your message loud and clear.
And there you go. Right.
Yep.
That's
Hard rock.
It is.
hard
It's
as
hard rock, and I love
hard
it.
as it gets.
It's just powerful. The band sounds amazing. Really amazing.
I've been asked a lot about, is this our last album? And I remember when we did Now What, which is now, 8 years ago?
Yeah.
And then we did Infinite, or Infinite. And Don was asked, is this the last album? He said, I thought the last album was the last album.
Yeah, I know.
And I think
That's how I feel about this one. I mean, maybe it is, and maybe it's not.
yeah, I mean, never say never to hone a cliche.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, the one thing about this, as I listen to it, is I think of the three of them that we've done, this one's got the most energy.
Yeah.
Surprisingly,
I think
right?
There's something about this one that's different,
Yeah.
for sure, yeah. Maybe it was in the back of our minds, I don't know, somewhere in the back of our minds that this could be the last album.
Yeah.
But I don't think we were dwelling on that
No.
particularly.
No, I think a lot of it also had to do with the preparation time we took in Nashville this time, and the rehearsals, and everybody, I think, really knew the material this time as we went into the studio, even a little more than we did in the last. But the band just felt to me to be more confident about the material, and also I learned as we went along that there are certain songs that work better on certain days.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, as we get to know each other. I feel like we've known each other forever, but as this is our third project together, we know a lot about how we all work.
Yes, and it's the thing about it, working with the same team every time, is there's a danger of falling into standard procedure.
It's
You
not
know,
a danger
and
in my case
I know
because I forget where I am every day.
I forget who I am every day.
Yeah.
But I think that we've done things on this album that we've never done before. It's
Right.
a lot of fresh ideas on this album. And I think the danger is if you've got a long history, the danger is you become a parody of yourself, because there's a sort of an unconscious need to sort of recreate what you'd created once. And I think we've avoided that pretty well on this album. There's nothing that we've done before.
So this is different for us because we actually use a sequenced beat. We have a beat on here.
It all came from Don.
Yeah, I know.
That
I know. Don plays this for us. Which has an implied rhythm
Yeah.
to it. But it's not distinctive enough. So we add. And together they sound like this.
Yeah.
So they still got the kind of Robo Man sound, right? But you can hear the rhythm of it. I thought that worked well with that big fat synth.
I remember walking in the rehearsal room in the writing session, and Pacey and Don had got there early,
Right.
and Don started playing that, and Pacey just started playing the rhythm just as we walked in, and went, "Wow, what's that?"
Yeah.
And the birth,
And lo and behold,
the birth of a song.
Here comes a song. I know.
I mean, it's a dance song, and as such, I can imagine. It hints on a bit of techno coming into the band,
Yeah.
which the purists are going to go, no. But
Well, we've
why
done
not?
a bunch of things on this
Yeah,
album that are not typical
Yeah.
for the band. I don't mean not typical for other people, but we've just added some things.
And the essence of this came from a techno kind of
Right,
sample
well,
and hold,
exactly.
so yeah, embrace it. That's what I say.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, Raj, there's only one music,
Yes, you're
right?
right.
Yeah.
It's all music.
My favorite part of the whole song happens, by the way, just to be a bass feature.
Can take it anywhere.
This part.
Thank you, Sly and the Family Stone.
Exactly. It's great. It's not stealing, it's an homage.
Yes, yeah. And if you steal from one person, it's stealing. But if you steal from 100, it's original.
I mean, what can you say about that? Who could play like that? I can't remember if it was Infinite or Now What, but we went to that jazz bar. Do you remember? The jazz band was playing on stage,
Oh,
and we
right.
had dinner, and you could just see, like, Don was just, he's starting to vibrate in his chair. He was just watching these people play. And so I went up to the stage and I said, hey, I'm here with a couple of the members of Deep Purple, and the keyboard player would really, really love to sit in for a song or two. And they're like, yeah, sure,
Deep Purple, heavy metal.
Yeah, heavy metal. What are they going to do? We're a jazz band. This guy can't. But they were very polite about it, being nice Nashvillians, and they said, sure, bring him up for a number. So Don gets up on stage, and they start playing this thing, and Don just puts his hands on the piano, and he starts to play, and you can see the whole band sort of go, whoa. I mean, he outplayed everybody.
Yeah.
It was astounding.
He knew all the chords, the jazz standards,
Yeah.
and took a solo, and and at the end of it, they all went up and started shaking his hand.
Oh yeah, they didn't want him to leave the stage. They told him to stick around, and so I mean, he can do that. He can do classical. He can do heavy metal. He could do anything.
That's right. He's a man of all seasons.
Yes, he is.
Swallowed up.
I've been so bad. I've been so bad. What the fuck happened to you last night?
That's still not loud enough, is it? No. What the what? What a great idea.
Well, it's I'm lucky, and I think we're all in the band lucky enough to be born and see the birth of rock and roll. Mm-hmm. And that was such a momentous occasion for me. I was 11, 12 years, perfect age, and this tsunami of music coming from America was overwhelming. And Little Richard, Chuck Berry, Eddie Cochran, Buddy Holly, Elvis Presley, and Fats Domino. It was just whoosh, one after another. It was all great. And the two, to me, the two that they wrote the songs was Chuck Berry and Little Richard.
Yeah.
And it's in the veins. And I don't know, I mean, Steve just started playing that kind of rhythm and we all just fell into it like as, you know.
Yeah, no, I remember the day that it happened. But I was thinking about the title itself, like, what the what?
Well, you could say what the fuck, but, you know, it's cheap. What
Yeah.
the what is, again, I questioned it when I first saw it.
No,
What the
it's
what?
great.
What does that mean?
It is.
But I've learned to love it. you know.
Me too. It's just a great turn of phrase, and you're right. I mean, and I think people in their heads hear "what the fuck," but he's saying "what the what." It's just one of those Ianisms, but
It's a little
but also
idiocy.
this bit.
We're going out tomorrow, gonna do it right. Celebrate the fact that we're still alive. In that case, we better make it tonight. I drink.
Okay,
I
so
remember the occasion.
do you remember
Yes,
where
I
that came
do.
from? Yeah.
We arrived in Nashville and you came to welcome us like you normally do. And we all sat around in a little circle and it was lovely to see you and nice to be back and stuff like that. You said, let's make a great album and just, yeah, I'd like to take you out. This is Saturday night, the first
Right.
day was Saturday. And you said, to celebrate, let's have a meal. I'm like to invite you to a meal on Monday night.
And you said, what are we celebrating?
What are we celebrating? You said, well, the fact that we're still alive. I said, well, in that case, you better make it Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. And
and
it's it's in the song. Here we go. Look.
Caused such a laugh. that we-
Going out tomorrow, gonna do it right. Celebrate the fact that we're still alive. In that case, we better make it tonight. I drink for us all, and you can drive my motor.
It's amazing how real life comes into songs.
Oh, yeah,
They all
for
come from
sure.
real life. They
For
all
sure,
come.
and that happened a lot actually on this record. You know, that even happened on Now What. You know, the tribute to John when we lost John, right in the making of the album
Yeah,
and so on.
yeah.
Yeah, life has crept into everything that we've done, which I love.
Yeah.
I love it because it's truth, and it's part of being who we are, and that to me that's the essence of the whole thing. You know, we just have to be ourselves, but in the best way we possibly can.
Yeah.
And then, you know, hopefully if we do our best work and we are just honest and being ourselves, that people will really love it.
Looking back at stuff I've written, some of it's embarrassingly bad because I was just being a songwriter, making rhymes fit and stuff like that. It didn't come from the heart. It was a job.
Yeah.
And I know several years, many decades ago, I realized that everything I do should really be much more from inside than just, you know, doing a job. And
Yeah.
it's true, because especially since a band like us, it lasts. It doesn't go away in 6
Yeah.
months after
Who
the record's
knew?
out. You know? Exactly.
I know. Wow. When you look back at stuff like, I had no idea. And I'm sure you didn't either, that, you know, that the stuff that we made in like 1970 was going to be meaningful to anybody in 2020.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know. So make sure what you do, always be the best you can, because it's going to last and people will judge you on it.
It is true. And for all you folks out there, remember also that anything that you write or say is living online forever. So be careful. Yeah. So, you know, so this is a really simple rock and roll song, but everybody played it really well. And I just like the story of it. Where did it come from?
Yeah.
It came from that, celebrating the fact that we're still alive. And I think we did a pretty good job of it.
Long, tall Sally, short, fat Dave.
I love that. I really enjoy the way Steve's playing now. And the interesting thing about it is that he thinks that he's being inhibited by the issues he's having with his muscles and stuff. I mean, for mere mortals, this would be like a pinnacle of achievement.
Yes,
you know,
yeah.
for Steve, he feels like he's been held back, and yet I feel like what it's done is it's pushed him into a more melodic, more tonal sort of frame of mind. So he's really playing the sound, and he's playing these longer, more, to me, more beautiful melodies and stuff. So I think like, how do you say this about a guy who's been in the band for what now, 25 years?
More, 26 now. I think.
Is it 26 years? That this is the best playing he's done in the band. That's what I think.
Well, I think a lot of it is down to you. Anyone in the band talking to Steve saying, can you slow down a bit, or could you not do so many runs? Or he wouldn't take that, but he takes it from you, because there's a great deal of respect there.
Well,
And
we go back a ways. So.
you can pat yourself on the back for that one.
No, well, that's what I'm supposed to do, is get the best out of everybody. But for, with Steve, I feel like he's hit a new plateau.
Yeah.
This is a new sound, new style. It's great. To be able to say that at this age, that I've developed a new sound and a new style, that's amazing.
Long Goodbye Tour. People ask me all the time, how long is the Long Goodbye Tour? It's now been going on for 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And my stock answer is, how long is a piece of string? That's the answer.
Yeah.
I like every member of the band would have a different attitude to this. How long is it going to be? And the idea of us stopping is really a horrible thought, and try and avoid thinking about it, really. But the idea of actually naming a date, this is my opinion now, of naming a date, saying that is going to be the last Deep Purple gig, I think it would be too emotional, too stressful, too finite.
Why would you?
And I'd much rather just tour and tour and tour, and then say, oh, that was the last gig, without making a big hullabaloo about
Exactly.
it.
Why would you think ahead to? I mean, it's one thing if, as I said before, if it's a project where you have a set thing that you have to build, when it's finished, that's it, we're done, see you later. But this is
life. This is a life.
This is a life, exactly. So you quit when you die.
Yeah. We all know it's going to end. I mean, obviously we're all going to end, but the band, we know it's on the cards. We're all in our 70s or thereabouts, and no one can predict the future. No one knows what's around the corner. So I'd like to keep it that way.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That was the most difficult song to write as well, from the backing track.
Yeah, oh boy.
I remember.
I totally remember. We had
Searching.
no idea. We had no idea for so long on this one.
It's such a weird structure.
Yeah. Let's listen.
Yeah.
Who am I to say things may not all be what they seem? And how can I disturb the facts of life?
How can I disturb the facts of life? Wow.
And who am I to speak about the fabric of a dream? And who's to say the dreams cannot be right? It's a
I love the madrigal kind of. That's a really English sound.
Yes, it is. Especially when you got a harmony that stays there while the others move.
Right. It's plain song, isn't it?
yeah.
It's just like, it's all like old-fashioned plain song. And it's really cool. I think that solved the problem, was to be able to do that. Because when we just did the melody line, if you recall, it was not that interesting.
Right, yeah.
We were all like, oh shit, what do we got here? But I love it now. This has actually turned into one of my favorites.
Yeah, because it's unusual.
Yeah. I love the bass on this part, Raj.
I know you do.
It's one of my favorites. Oh, I remember when you played it the first time in the rehearsal hall, and I went, whoa, that's it. So cool. We're getting close to where we have to let our baby go, right? We're getting close to where...
This is the magic time.
Yeah.
When it's still ours. Not many people have heard it, and you've no idea what the reaction's going to be when it gets out. But when it gets out, you have no control.
Yeah, no, it's not ours anymore. Yeah.
It grows up or it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, and and I think this is the truth of anything people give to other people. On the moment that you give it, it's not yours anymore.
That's
it
right.
becomes theirs, and how they receive it and how they perceive it is entirely up to them. All we can do is make something that expresses our intention and lives up to our standards, you know what I mean? And then hopefully when it goes out there and they all hear it, they get what we intended them to get. Hopefully. I mean, we've done pretty well on that level.
Yeah, I think so. A fan once asked me, he said, why don't you write songs like Highway Star anymore? I said, well, actually we do. They don't sound like Highway Star, but we write songs with the same intention.
Right.
And who knew when we were writing Highway Star that it was going to have a future like it has?
Yeah.
So
Child
all
in
you
Time.
do is you honestly just make songs and let them go, and some will go up and some will stay where they are,
Yeah.
and you have no control. You're right.
Yeah. Again, this sort of relates to what I was saying before about letting our grumpy old man flag fly, right? This is about as grumpy as you can get. I love what he says.
I don't know what lies ahead. It's all a mystery, man. I heard it said, you do your thing, you do your best. I take a guess at what happened next. All I got is what I need, and that's enough as far as I can see. Why should I walk into the great unknown when I can sit here and throw my bones?
Right. Throwing bones. And basically, why we gave it to the label first was because, in a way, that's an explanation of what we do for the rest of the album. It's the throwing bones, right? And seeing the way that they roll out and what that what that means to us and what it pushes us to do.
This was born actually for the previous album.
Yeah.
And it was a long jam, and it went on 20, 25 minutes or so. And it gradually sort of took shape. And the interesting thing about it was what Don did on the keyboard. And we never got to finishing the song for that album, for Infinite. And I was on the road somewhere on tour, and Don and I were, in a bar again. It's strange that happens. But, and he started humming that tune, and I thought it's a classical tune. So I said, what is that? Is that Vivaldi or something?
Right.
Or he said, no, it's one of ours. I went, what one? He said, oh, that one. Wow. Now, we decided to try and work it up again. And in fact, Max had I think Max, our record company guy, had a rough mix of the previous thing.
He had the demo.
And
Yeah, he had a rather rough mix of the track that we sort of played with and didn't complete.
well, record companies don't normally have any say in what we do musically, but that was one of the exceptions.
Oh, I thought it was
Max
a good
said, you got to do
exception.
that one again, you know.
This.
One more.
Sorry.
That's it.
Yeah. So that keyboard part begat this
yeah.
whole thing. This is another one of those solos, right? That where he just went for it, and there it is.
Yeah.
It's like writing a concerto or something. It's so intricate and so beautiful. That's
I
fantastic.
don't know if it's his fingers or whether he's changing pickups, but it's great. He gets a different tone halfway through.
He's changing. He's got that pedal board,
Yeah.
and he's changing his pickups. He's doing so many things
Yeah.
all at the same time,
Yeah.
and he's also changing where he's holding the pick
Yeah, yeah.
to get these different sounds and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
You know, the best thing to have when a record comes out is no expectations, because it's too easy to say to yourself, this is so good, it's going to be great, and you're invariably disappointed. In keeping with our policy of really not caring what people think, this goes along with it. You know, we don't expect anything from the album. We don't expect it to be a big hit or anything like that. When it is, it's a nice surprise.
Yeah.
And this album, I mean, the title of the album seems to sum up the recording process, because it's whoosh, gone.
Yeah.
And here we are. You know, who knew that it would happen this quick?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not quick for you, but it is for me.
No, it's very quick for me. I mean, to do something this big in like 10 days in the studio, that's pretty amazing.
That is remarkable, actually. The amount of studio time is minimal,
Yeah.
because we work so fast, you work so fast. And what you bring to the band, apart from all your ears and things like that, is a way of resolving possible conflicts in the band. Because we're all, headstrong, and we all stand by our spontaneous feelings about whether it should be a B flat or an F, and that could go on for 2 or 3 hours. When you come in and go, no, it's B flat. Oh, okay, Bob. So it hurries us right along, and it's great because it makes us more friendly.
Well, I think the atmosphere, I want to say that I think the atmosphere of the whole record was remarkably convivial and filled with excitement. Everybody was enjoying what everybody else was doing. Every time someone did something brilliant, everybody said something about it. It wasn't just, sort of quiet, and we weren't carrying on in quiet desperation, as Roger Waters likes to say. We were really enthusiastic about this thing. And honestly, if it is the last one, then I think we're going out with a bang. I'm sure hoping it's not, though.
I'm with you.
All right, buddy.